Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today we have Representative Conor Lamb. I'm pretty sure, again, most of you know who this is. He won the Pennsylvania 18th special election in the congressional district there against the self-proclaimed Donald Trump before Donald Trump, who, matter of fact, Conor Lamb is going against Donald Trump in this election prediction. So Conor Lamb, a little backstory, pretty much veteran, comes from the state of Pennsylvania, very able to appeal to the white working class very well. He also did not get the recognition of the National Democratic Party. Of course, he was endorsed by many notable figures, but he also did not really accept that much money compared to other Democrats such as Nancy Pelosi, other top Democratic officials that really focus on the races like John Ossoff did back in Georgia, or down in Georgia, I guess, back in 2017 in the Georgia 6th congressional special election, where this was the most expensive race in House history, blah, blah, blah. And John Ossoff lost. And it was also by a narrow margin, but Conor Lamb also won by a narrow margin. This was the first Democratic pickup of 2018 for the Democrats, and it was one of the most notable right after the Alabama not really right after, but I guess after the Alabama special election happened where a Democrat won in Alabama. I guess the Democrats were looking for a victory other than against a child predator, I guess, and this is where they got it. They got it in the state of Pennsylvania, an area that was key to Donald Trump's victory in 2016. And also, it went to show that this was a district that was Trump area. I mean, Donald Trump did phenomenal in this district. A number of Obama voters switched over to the Republican side to support Donald Trump, and then the special election happened, and the Democrats won. The Republican Party downplayed it, the Democratic Party upplayed it, overplayed it, I guess. And, you know, you can't really tell if this is a very accurate indication, but it also shows a little bit of a draw away from the Trump-type candidate that we saw, because there was, again, a self-proclaimed candidate. I forgot his name already, but he called himself Donald Trump before Donald Trump. So he essentially said that he was saying all these things that Donald Trump said later on before Donald Trump was able to say it. So, you know, it kind of gave the effect that this was a Donald Trump-type candidate. And typically, in a Trump district, you should expect a Trump-like candidate to do well. Conor Lamb was able to beat him, and that was one of the reasons why most Democrats wanted to focus on it, because it was right in the heart of Trump country, not just in a Democratic district in Pennsylvania, but in a Republican district before the districts were redrawn. And he went out there in the open, and it was, to be frank, not the best showing for the GOP. And the Democrats definitely did use this to push their agenda against the, I guess, anti-Trump type agenda that they've been having. Of course, against the president, because it is anti-Trump. But I'm actually going to start filling in all the safe states for Conor Lamb. He's going to do very well when it comes down to areas in the north, as most Democrats do. And then we're going to start filling in all these safe states for the president. Pennsylvania, I would consider a safe state. Now, before you say anything about, like, yes, I understand, it would get a little bit closer, but Conor Lamb is from the state of Pennsylvania. A lot of people say just because you're from the state doesn't mean that you're going to win this race, but Conor Lamb, he's probably one of those Democrats you're not going to be able to tear down very easily. Conor Lamb would do phenomenal, especially against Republican attacks. Conor Lamb, you know, he's a very good speaker. He has the background for it, background for the white working class, and he comes from the state. He won a special election in an area that Donald Trump did well in. If he's flipping those districts, he's flipping a number of other ones, and Donald Trump only won here by 44,000 votes. I saw this YouTube video the other day where this lady was talking about people forgetting that Donald Trump had won by a narrow margin, and this was on CNN, so take it how you will, but I do think what she said, just because she was on CNN, does not mean she's fake. Yes, she was a Democratic commentator, as a number of the people on CNN are, but there are some Republican commentators, but besides the point, that's besides the point, but she was able to say that Donald Trump pretty much forgot that he did win by a narrow margin, and I do see it. When he's talking about a number of the areas that he has, you know, a stronghold in, I do see the president sometimes forgetting that he did win the state of Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes. He won in Wisconsin by 22,000 votes. He won in Michigan by 11,000 votes. So it wasn't like some big political referendum in a number of these states. These states didn't flip by, you know, 30%. They didn't go all the way from safe blue to safe Republican. Yes, they did flip to the Republican side. You can't take away from the fact that the president did very well when it came down to the Electoral College. But number one, he didn't win the popular vote, which was something that was pretty much a thorn in the Trump campaign's side. But nonetheless, that's not what matters. He did win this election. He won the 2016 election, well, I would say it was fair and square. And when it came down to it, just because he did win, and look at the Electoral College, wow, you see Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Iowa, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Arizona. These states are red. Wow, that's crazy. But if you look at the states, Georgia was closer than expected. Texas, which I didn't mention, was closer than expected. Arizona was closer. Florida, yes, that one did go to Trump by a significant amount. Don't take that away from him. Neither, North Carolina also went to Trump by a significant amount. Nobody expected Ohio and Iowa to vote by those margins. But in those three Rust Belt states, which are crucial to his victory yet again in 2020, if it does happen, he needs to remember that he's going to have to corral a number of these voters back. Because if he loses even 1% of voters away from Michigan, he loses the state. He wins 1%, I guess, less in Pennsylvania, he loses the state. 2% less in Wisconsin, he loses the state. So when it comes down to these approval polls, they should be a mild, indication of what we're seeing. And right back to this election prediction, Conor Lamb comes from the state of Pennsylvania. It's really hard not to see. It's really hard not to see how Conor Lamb could win in a state that he only needs to gain less than 1% of voters, when he's probably going to gain 5 to 6%, flipping it into the Democratic column. But enough talking about that. We're going to go again up across the United States, all these safe states for the Republican Party. I don't know why South Carolina decided to go blue right there, but we're looking at this map. Virginia, I would actually trust enough to go into the Democratic column, along with Minnesota. I see these states as going blue. Georgia and Arizona, I'm not so comfortable enough to say that Conor Lamb would win in these states. He does have a great shot in a number of other states, but probably not Georgia or Arizona at this point in time. Colorado and Nevada are probably going to retain their Democratic identity, especially with someone like Conor Lamb, who could actually appeal better to voters, not only the white working class, but just white voters in general, and a number of independent voters compared to what Hillary Clinton did. Probably would not replicate what Obama did, because that would ensure that Lamb would win in Obama states such as Ohio and Iowa, but he could definitely win over a number of independent voters, whereas Trump won them by around 4%. That's what the exit polling data said. We go over to the state of New Hampshire. That one I see Conor Lamb winning. I mean, I'm not going to say that Donald Trump is going to win the state of New Hampshire when Conor Lamb comes from the Northeast. I guess technical Northeast, not the New England type Northeast, but Pennsylvania, I guess close enough. But also, the type of voters there are very similar to the voters in Pennsylvania. It was a close race in New Hampshire as it was in Pennsylvania. I would say Pennsylvania leans a little bit more to the right, but Hillary Clinton only won New Hampshire by 2,000 votes, and Donald Trump won Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes. Still, I see New Hampshire going blue. Up in Maine, I actually see all of Maine going blue. I don't know why I filled in the second district before the first district. It was probably an accident. I meant to fill in the first district before, but still the result is the same. Maine goes blue. And I see Conor Lamb definitely able to appeal to a number of these Republican voters that were Democratic Obama-type voters, Kerry voters, Gore voters, Clinton voters, not Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, but all of a sudden Trump rolls around and wins in this state. I think someone who could better appeal to their ideology and just the type of people up there could definitely flip that back, because these are still Democratic voters. They just voted for a Republican once. North Carolina, I see is pretty much out of the reach for Conor Lamb. Florida, I'm a little bit more contested on, but I still see it as out of reach for Conor Lamb as of today. But the Rust Belt I see going to Conor Lamb, which gives him the victory already at 279 electoral votes. So Donald Trump is at 235 electoral votes. The state of Iowa, I see narrowly going to the president, but still going to the president. I don't think Conor Lamb's appeal is going to reach out as far as Iowa. In the Democratic primary, I think Conor Lamb would do pretty well there. But also when it comes down to it, there are very few Democrats who could redraw this electoral map so drastically the same way Donald Trump did in 2016. And it's probably not Conor Lamb, even though he's probably one of the stronger Democrats. Just you need an even stronger Democrat, for example, Bernie Sanders. But enough talking about that. We're going to finish off the map by giving the state of Ohio to Conor Lamb. I think Conor Lamb could narrowly carry the state of Ohio by flipping back a number of independent, white working class voters, and possibly even getting out a couple more, percentages of the African American vote, which is going to be vital to any Democratic victory, especially with the firm opposition of the president we're seeing today. We could see Ohio flip to the Democrats. So our final electoral map, Representative Conor Lamb at 297 electoral votes and Donald Trump at 241. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.